The first time I saw Srila Prabhupada was in the LA airport. I think it must have been about 200 devotees went to greet him. We were a huge crowd and a loud kirtan, and everyone was pushing forward. And there was a space above the partition where the passengers were coming out, and you were able to see. If it was a tall person, I remember a Stetson hat came by and something else came by, and then we could understand, oh, is that? No, that's not Prabhupada. And we kept pushing forward more and more, and the kirtan was bigger and bigger. And then I felt someone pushing behind me, and I thought, that's odd because I'm at the back of the crowd. I was a very new devotee. So then I turned to look, and there were two businessmen behind me, sort of mid-20s, suits and briefcases and everything else, but they were looking and looking to see who we were waiting for. Then suddenly we saw a danda raised above the partition, and we knew, oh, Prabhupada must be coming. So then Prabhupada came out, and we all paid our obeisances, and there was the most amazing feeling, like a tidal wave rushing through me from the very depths of my being and pouring out, and I just cried and cried and cried. And then finally, when I stood up to go and follow the devotees who were following Srila Prabhupada, I turned, and these two businessmen were standing there with tears pouring down their faces. It was such an amazing experience to see how they were touched just by a moment's association with Srila Prabhupada.
Those times in Udwarka when he would come in through the right-hand curtain, he would bow flat, down. The Govinda prayers would be so beautifully floating in the atmosphere. And then he would stand up and look at Gaurnitai with his hands folded. And he would do in front of Rukmini Dwarkadish the same thing. It's just the same things that we would always do. But when Srila Prabhupada was there, you understood the depth. I mean, you couldn't understand his depth, but your appreciation for Dandavats would increase unlimitedly by seeing Srila Prabhupada pay Dandavats to the deities. When we built the new temple room in New Dwarka, I remember the first time he came to visit there. That was the first time he ever looked me in the eye. And I was jumping so high just because he was there, and just because he's such an ecstatic personality, I just couldn't help jumping. And I remember him looking at me and looking a little surprised at how demonstrative I was.
The day that we inaugurated the temple, it was Bhaktisiddhanta's disappearance. That day Prabhupada said, I'm not going to sit on the Vyasasana. He took Bhaktisiddhanta's picture and put it on the Vyasasana where he would normally sit. So we spent most of the day cooking and spending the day with Prabhupada. And towards the end of the day, we were reading the prayers that Prabhupada offered to his spiritual master, the famous Vyasa Puja offering. And Tamal Krishna started reading it, and he started crying. And so then he gave it to Brahmananda. And then Brahmananda started reading, and he started crying. He gave it to Gargamuni. And Gargamuni started reading, he started crying. And so this way it was handed down to different devotees. And eventually, by Krishna's grace, we got through the reading. And then after that, Prabhupada had a kirtan, and Prabhupada was dancing with the devotees, just like Lord Chaitanya, surrounded by his associates. And Prabhupada held up his hands, and just started dancing from side to side. I remember looking around, and everybody was up dancing and chanting and crying uncontrollably. Everybody was dancing and chanting and crying uncontrollably. Prabhupada put us directly into Chaitanya Lila. It was so powerful. You had a direct experience of Chaitanya Lila by his potency.
simply follow the predecessor's instruction. That's it. Our movement is very easy because we haven't got to manufacture something.
Nowadays, a lot of devotees like to speak of Prabhupada as being very soft and compassionate. There's no doubt about that. But his compassion often would manifest in the most determined, focused way. He was the personification of the expression strictly business. He had a mission to do, and left no doubts that he had a mission to do. And he expected his followers to be his assistants in his mission, and he would thank them for that, for helping him to please his spiritual master. If you will simply print and distribute my books in every language of the world, all over the world, automatically Krishna consciousness will spread. That was spoken in Los Angeles. I never forgot that. It was like the master stroke for ending all kinds of speculation. Prabhupada just laid it on the line. It was not that the ISKCON leaders were fanatical. It's just that Prabhupada laid it all on the line, and this is what he said. What could we do? Except try to fulfill his desire the way he said it would be fulfilled. That was our only value. Back then, devotees knew our only value is to just try to fulfill Prabhupada's desire the way he wants it fulfilled.
We are receiving the transcendental knowledge through Guru Parampara, succession. So we have to simply take instruction from Guru, and if we execute that to our heart and soul, that is success. That is practical. I have no personal qualification, but I simply try to satisfy my Guru. That's all. My Guru Maharaj asked me that if you get some money, you print books.
Prabhupada was teaching us the Sri Upanishad in the mornings. We could barely do anything. I mean, at least certainly myself. And the Sanskrit was just a blur, at least to us. And Prabhupada was teaching us the Sanskrit. And he would offer his obeisances before the three altars, and when he would sit down, we would all bow down. And then we would come up and we would chant the mantras. And only Jayatirtha really was learning them, and a couple of the devotees. And after maybe a week of this, he could tell we weren't taking it seriously. Prabhupada said, I am writing these books for you. You have to know these books. He said, if someone stops and asks you, can you read this, the Sanskrit? And you say, no, I'm not reading, I'm just selling. Prabhupada said, what is that? I'm writing these books for you. And it was just pleading with us, so then we took it very seriously after that to learn the Sanskrit.
Yes. So I took up this from his mouth, that he is very fond of books. And he told me personally that if you get some money, print books. Therefore I am stressing on this point. Where is book? Where is book? Where is book? So kindly help me. This is my request. Print as many books in as many languages and distribute throughout the whole world. Then Krishna consciousness movement will automatically increase.